This is Mina Barsoom with cdocs.com and welcome to the tip of the day. Today I'd like to focus a little bit on 3D printing and some of the different options we have at our disposal and how to incorporate this into a dental practice. So today there are two main types of printers on the market. You have an SLA printer, which is a laser type printer that prints very small points in space. It gives you a very high resolution, but it does take a little bit longer when it comes to the printing time. The other option is your Dlp printer, which is more of a projection style printer. It prints one layer at a time, so it can print models much faster. These are the two main products I think for dentistry on the market right now, the Form 3 on the left hand side and then the Sprint Ray Pro on the right hand side. So you won't go wrong with either of these options right now, and as the market grows there's many more printers coming out in the market. So stay tuned as we kind of learn more about the different products for dentistry. One of the biggest things with printing that we get a question about is what can I make with it, or what can I do with it? And really there's a couple of things you can do right off the bat, specifically looking at surgical guides, being able to print those in the office. You can print dies certainly if you want to try on your restorations before you deliver them to the patient. You can even print splints. So looking at different softwares that allow you to manufacture a splint, you can print that out as well in your office. And we certainly use this a lot for digital wax ups and doing aesthetic cases and printing out those models to duplicate them in our software. And then also the big thing for me in our practice is being able to print models so that we can make aligners on those models. So a lot of nice features when it comes to printing, and there are a lot of applications clinically for dentists today. Biggest thing with printing is what you do after it comes out of the printer. These models are typically covered in resin, so they have to be washed a very specific way. So you're going to use an isopropyl alcohol wash machine to clean off any of the uncured resin, and then it has to be cured in a very specific light curing device using a certain wavelength of UV light and temperature to cure that final resin before it's ready to go. So for me, when I take scans, the best way to create a model for me is using the CEREC Ortho software. And there's a couple reasons why we do that. The big reason is it allows us to capture full arch scans but also export those models so that they're ready to be printed. So here you can see on the software we're in the model phase. A couple things I like to do first before I get going is I want to clean up that model. So I'm going to use my cut tool and I'm going to clean up some of those artifacts. I don't want any excessive tissue or cheek or tongue or anything that could be in that model. It'll just certainly make it much harder to print. So using that cut tool very easily and quickly, I can clean up that model and make it print ready. The next step is to export that model. Now, when we export models, we want to export them not just as an STL, but as a closed geometry STL. What this does, and this is only in the Ortho software, is it gives me a watertight model that has a flat base. That makes it very easy for me to print. So when I get that STL file, you can see it here on the screen, you can see how it's completely watertight, it's got a nice flat base, and this will print beautifully. So we won't have any issues getting this model to be manufactured. So again, just some simple tips and tricks, especially when using your CEREC. You want to use that Ortho software to be able to export that closed geometry STL. So hopefully this was a good intro and overview to the different printing options on the market. We look forward to seeing you again soon in our future videos. Take care.